Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Tyese Show. This is Tyese, your host, of course, and I am back once again. God willing, I am back now. And
Mm.
this is with another illustrious guest, another beautiful lady who is here to talk about her journey. I have with me today, has an associate's in medical assisting, and she is a biblical counselor and as well a minister. We ended up with another
Yes.
minister, guys. I'm so I'm telling you, God's plan and purpose for your life, right?
Yes.
And her name is Carla Payne. Miss Carla, thank you for coming on this evening.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I'm gonna start with school.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna start with school. And uh for the audience, like everyone that comes onto the show sends a bio. So we have a foundation,
Mm.
for our conversation and have a foundation for questions, and how we're delivering that message to you. So Miss Carla, you put in your bio that you wanted to go to college and you're the first person or one of the first people in your family
Yes.
to go to
Yes.
college.
One of the first, actually, one of the first, one of
Mm-hmm.
the first in my
Mm-hmm.
family to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go to all black college, which I
Mm-hmm.
did in South Carolina. Had a great time, learned a lot about our history, learned a lot that I did not
Okay.
get from Illinois. Went there, loved it, wanted to go back, but my mother had moved to Indiana
Okay.
due to some personal issues. So I
Mm-hmm.
ended up becoming a Hoosier. And
Mm-hmm.
when I came to Indiana, that's when I realized my mother was really failing in her health. So I tried to go to college, but I also was working full time. So a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
know that. And I didn't make it through because I had to work. I had to help pay bills.
Yeah.
Um, and then I became engaged and he was working, I was working, and it was like, you know what, schooling will wait. But I never stopped wanting to go.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
And I graduated in 1989. I don't mind telling when I graduated. I'm proud of my age. And I
Okay,
did
thank you.
not, I love it. God has brought me this far. I am grateful. A lot didn't make it, and I did. But I did not graduate like I wanted to. I
Mm-hmm.
was building courses and building courses, stop, 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 go, go. And finally, when the state of Indiana decided that they needed to downsize,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't have all the years in. There's so many senior people here. Let me go to school. And I wanted to do something different, but my math is not that good. I'm not that good in math. And so I said, you know what? I'm a church servant. I serve others. I take care of people. And I found medical assisting. And I ended up like, you know what? I like this. I enjoyed it. My job allowed me to work around my schedule. And I tell you, I met some wonderful people. God worked in my favor. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to quit my job to do my schooling or my
Yeah.
internship. And that 2 year degree means so much to me because in that 2 year period, I graduated before the 2 years because I just wanted to get it done. I wanted to move. I
Right.
lost my mother, and I'm
Mm.
like, I'm
That's
done. I'm
a
not
whole
gonna
tough time.
finish.
Yeah.
And God sent this wonderful lady, and I cannot even remember her name. And she sat me in her office, and I cried, and she cried with me. She held my hands, and she said, "You're gonna finish. We're gonna make sure you graduate for
Mm-hmm.
your mom." I was
Okay.
too close. I was months away, and I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, months away. So when I graduated in December, my mother
Mhm.
passed in July, and I graduated in December, and I did it for her. So that degree means so much to me because of her. And she was
Wow.
a CNA for years.
Okay.
So I kind
Okay.
of followed in her step there. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
that was my
Mm-hmm.
schooling. So it took me a long time to do it. I was 30 something years old, but I got
I hear that.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, similar, similar. I understand. I understand.
It's
Yeah,
a lot.
I was in school for like a semester, like literally. No, no, no. I'm telling the story. It may have been two. Um,
Mhm.
and I was in my 20s, and but I had had all three of my kids.
Mm.
And when their father and I split up, I was like, I'm not going to be able to take care of them, a
Mhm.
full-time
Mhm.
job, and I was in school full-time, and, there was no going to school online,
Mhm.
at the time,
Right. Right.
definitely no around your schedule type of anything happening.
Gotta do it. Gotta get it
Yeah,
done.
it wasn't there, so,
Mhm.
yeah, I left school, went back in my 30s, so I hear you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, but we did it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, but we did it.
Yes.
And I loved seeing this when I looked at your bio, but you're a biblical counselor.
Yes. That 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 kind of came up. I was introduced to Dr. Sandra, um, and then probably months later, I met her coming out of COVID. And we were just talking, and she was like, come over and visit. And I went to go visit, and I saw all of her books. She started showing me her programs, and I'm like, I'm already kind of counseling, bootlegging, a lot of that's what I call it. And she gave me gave me some paperwork on it, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
love it. And so we were able to do all of that. We had to create a binder, we had to create settings, and I was all in it. Every
Yeah.
call, I
Mhm.
wanted to
Mhm.
learn, and I started to heal from a situation through becoming an ordained biblical counselor. It
Mm.
helped me in a section in there that helped me deal with something that happened to me when I was a young girl that
Okay.
I had never allowed myself to heal from.
Mhm.
And I had
Mhm.
to because I had to write on it. I had to give a synopsis of it. And I did that. And that's when my
Mhm.
healing, it started to come in. And I was
Right.
able to, actually, I preached on it. I freed myself.
Mm.
I did a sermon and I freed myself from that. And I tell you, when I did that, the weight just went off. I forgave, the person, he's no longer here, but I forgave him. God said, forgive. I did,
Mm. I know that
and
was some
telling
sermon.
that was the relief. It was like it just went from the top of my head and all the way down.
Mhm.
And I tell people I was pregnant for all those years because that never left me.
Right.
Not telling my mom, not telling my family. I told my
Mm.
boyfriend, who's my husband, but I never told anyone else. And when I finally told that message and freed myself, I got so many calls and text messages that was me. Can we talk? That was me. Can you help me? Can you, just listen? And in
Mm.
that moment, a close relative of mine said it happened to me too, in the same person. So we were
Mm.
able to bond and free each other and cry on each other's shoulder. And that right there, it was God's timing.
Yes.
So biblical counseling, it means so much to me. And I today will go back to look at the principles.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to listen,
Mhm.
and sometimes I can't interject what happened to me because I need for them to release everything that has happened to him. So yes, I am very proud of that.
Mm, mm, mm.
Very.
Forgiveness. Like I said, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that
Woo.
sermon, because I know the Holy Spirit was all up and through that.
Yes, it
Mhm.
was, and I couldn't even see my paper. You write this sermon, you think, oh my God, but he was already healing me through it. And
Yes.
that was one of my husband told me, he said, you did that. He said, you did that. You allowed God to use you.
To use you. Yes.
I was open.
Mhm.
and I allowed
Mhm.
people to see, and I was no longer ashamed because it wasn't my fault.
Right.
So I did.
Mm.
So the biblical counseling is just, I use that in a lot of my principles today. When, being a first lady, you have to, counsel people, you have to talk to people on my job. you know, as a manager, I'm thinking I'm supposed to be a manager. And here I am with women having to, can I just talk to you after work? Crying
Right.
on my shoulder.
Right.
One girl wanted to go in to hurt someone. And I literally had to kind of like close her in my office and, and sit her down and call a relative and talk to her and let her scream and let her cry. She wasn't mad at me. It was
Mhm. Right.
somebody else.
Right.
But I
Mhm.
had to remember, this is
Mhm.
what you do. You stay calm. And so wherever God needs to use me, that's where I am. That's where I'm going 2025. I told a close friend, I said, I'm a public speaker. I've been a public speaker. I may not sound like someone else. I may not be able to pronounce all those great and wonderful words, but I know what I know and I know
Mm.
what God has put in me. And when I get ready to release it, He allows it to manifest so people can hear it.
That's right.
And that's what
That's
I'm
right.
doing
Again.
2025.
Yeah. Again, letting him use you.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Mhm. So, what led you to become a biblical counselor? Was it
Um,
wanting to help people that had been through what you
yes,
had been through? Okay.
yes. It was about helping. I've always been a helper.
Mhm.
It's just what I do. And people always like, well, let me help. But that's what I was used to. I was the one that, had to read the mail for my mom and my aunt. I was the one had to read the school notices that came home. I was the one I can remember um, my mom not being able to work, flat in the bed. And I'm about 13 and I worked
Mm.
all summer, full time, and then come home and work and help take care of her. But I loved it. I didn't whine and complain. And I tell people I bought my household our first microwave.
Wow.
I saved up. And so I've
Mhm.
been a servant ever since I can remember.
Yes. Mhm. Okay.
And being the biblical part is because it's who I am. God made me. He's healed me. Even though you go through difficulties and I still have some things going on, I can preach from a chair. I can preach from my phone, from my bed, wherever God needs me.
Yeah.
And the principles and the belief. And so
Yes.
that meant a lot to
Mhm.
me, to be able to say, I did it. And I have this big old book, and everyone's like, well, do you go back to it? I do. Just like you go back to your Bible, because the biblical counseling is coming from the Bible.
Mhm.
It's not all of the
Mhm.
psychology and all of the wording, but it's more about your soul. It's about your inner
Right.
and following the
Mhm.
principles of the Bible. So that's the reason that one stuck out to me more than just trying to get a theological plane. I wanted to be able to touch. I want people to feel what I'm saying and understand. I'm passionate about it.
Right. Right. I can hear that you're passionate about it. I can't imagine the amount of people you've worked with and the amount of souls that you have touched. Are you working with all women?
No, I am not. It's a mix, but I have a lot of young women that seem to become attached to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they are attached to me and I have to get used to them. Miss Carla, I'm like, why are you calling me that? It's Carla. But and it's out of
Right.
respect.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe showing people respect and they'll show you respect.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you have to, talk to someone and say, you didn't do that right, but let's show you how to do it right. And not
Mm-hmm.
to embarrass people in front of other people. There's
Yes.
a way that you do it. So yeah, I've had men come to me. And that's one of the things you have to learn. You're going to have men come to you. You have to know what to say. But you also have to understand if you can't handle that situation, I got somebody who I can send you to.
Right.
I got
Mm-hmm.
somebody I can refer you to. So I have resources, so I'm not ashamed to share. I
Mm-hmm.
do not get paid for that. that is what I do for ministry for the Lord.
Mm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I love it. I love it. So how many years now have you been a biblical counselor?
I believe it's going on 3 years.
Okay.
Yep, going on 3 years. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're an ordained minister as well. So now, when did you become an ordained minister?
I stopped bootlegging in 2020. I got ordained. I got
Mm-hmm.
ordained with or maybe 7 or 8 others. Um, that was a very special moment. And I learned a lot in the training that I got. And I get a lot of my training not only from God and His Word, but from my husband. The man is, I mean, he's a book. He loves to read, and
Mm-hmm.
so, we can bounce things off of each other. But I believe it was October of 2020. It was beautiful. My aunt was able to be there with me, my husband, who was already an elder, and my daughter, and it was beautiful. It was wonderful. I was so
Yeah.
emotional,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I have it hanging up so that I can see it. But it means a lot to me, and of course, being a minister, ordained minister, I can do weddings now. I've done a wedding, so
Oh,
I
that's
just
great. Yeah.
love.
Mm-hmm.
I love helping people, no matter what. Sorry about that, but
That's.
yes,
Mhm.
I love doing it, and I'm going to be retiring in 2025. Yes, I'm gonna retire
Okay.
early. I've got
Mhm.
it set up. I have 29 and a half years. And I got some things going on medically, but God's told me, He said, it's time.
Okay.
It is time. And when He
Mhm.
told me that, I wasn't sure about it, but then He said it again. And when He said it again, I said, okay. So when I retire, I'm doing ministry full time, you know,
All
along with other things, whatever God allows me to do. Physically, I have issues, but I know a man that can take care of that.
Oh, yes.
And that is Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If he told you to retire,
Hmm.
he has more work for you,
He does.
and I love it that you're going to be able to go into the ministry full time.
Yes. I'm excited
Hmm.
about it with my husband. It means so much.
Right. And with your, how long have you been married?
We will be married 34 years, July the 6th.
Oh, oh,
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
That's
I met
beautiful.
him, you could say in the sandbox. We were about
Yeah.
11 and 12. I was 11 or 12 years old when I first met him. And so he is my love.
Oh!
Yeah, he is my love. He's my teddy bear. Um, but he is definitely that person that I bounce a lot of things off of. A lot. He knows things that, family doesn't know because he's been there, and I've been able to share and to tell him. When I was not able to take care of myself with the physical conditions I have, he does that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to call in someone.
Right.
So I know that God has combined us and put us together for a reason. We love outreach. Part of our
Mm-hmm.
ministry is outreach. We
Mm-hmm.
give away different things on Facebook. People send us items and money to give away to people. We have events, in the park.
Mm-hmm.
We have a pop up prayer that we do in the park, and we give out food items, clothing, and prayer. And we love it.
Yes.
It can be 90 degrees and we're standing out there sweating. But if you need prayer, you just need someone to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Clothes. That's what we do. We love it.
Yeah. 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 34 years. And that is so, I mean, that is so adorable. Like 11 years old.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So
And the fun
now,
part is that
mhm,
our families grew up in the South, and his family lived down the hill, and my family lived up the hill when they grew up. And
uh,
so they knew when I came home, I was like, hey, and they were like, oh no, not him. But he is a wonderful man, and they will call my house and ask for him before they ask for me.
oh, that's cute. That's so funny. That's so funny. So the and the outreach, I love it. It's outstretched evangelistic ministries. I like the
Yes.
outstretched. Who came up with that
Yeah.
name?
My husband,
Okay.
God had gave him the vision before we started ministry. And at
Mhm.
the time, we were attending a church, and we kind of told the pastors, God wants us to start this outreach. And that's what we did. We did not know we were going to start our own ministry. We started doing outreach, going to the nursing home, um,
Mhm.
going out and into the community. My brother had a heart transplant on Martin Luther
Mhm.
King Jr. Day, and 11 years
Mhm.
later, he passed on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we honor that
Mhm.
day by
Mhm.
choosing someone in the city, outside of the city, and
Mhm.
we just want them to be pampered. We give them different items, gift cards, foods, and just honor
Nice.
of a heart given or a recipient award.
Mhm.
So it all started out by the outreach, going out to different places, giving. We've paid electric bills. People need a ride. So we
Mm.
are looking for a church van. So if anybody has one out there, we travel. We have
Uh-huh.
gone out of state for people. They want us to come over and have a church service, and do giveaways, preach, of course,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
just come and help celebrate with them. And we start off just traveling, and then it just went. When COVID hit, it just like whoops, here
Yeah.
we go. And
Mhm.
we started on Facebook Live in our house.
Yeah.
And we just outgrew the house, and we have
Mhm.
been in our own, well, it's not our own location, but it's we are leasing a place. And we've been there, it will be 2 years in September, and we are going to have to move. Or either take over something because we are growing.
Because
We
you've
have
grown that
members.
much. Uh-huh.
It is, and it's a ministry. We roll together. That's our motto. Um, People have come in into the hospital, and they are hurt. They're wounded.
Mhm.
They want the word. We have had people with us in our lives, and they're just hooked to us. And they came right along with us. My family has come along now. I love that. I love my family,
Yes.
seeing them one way, and now they're deacons and mothers, singing in the
Mm.
choir, a deaconess. So
Mhm.
it's all his plan, you know,
Right.
but we just love it. And to me, I think during this April of 2024 started, he had to lay me down for a while. And
Mhm.
I think I had just put too much out there, and I wasn't putting back in me. I wasn't following the doctor's instructions, put it that way. And that made me realize, hey, I'm not doing something right. And I wasn't taking care of Carla.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I started taking care of Carla, and then I got certificates, notaries. I can do so many different things. But he said, when you retire, you're going to do what I asked you to do, and that's to go out and preach and teach my word.
Yes.
And I just
Mhm.
spoke on Sunday, and I enjoyed it. And I got in
Mhm.
touch with some mental counselors. So I'm hoping to be able to volunteer and to go in and to see if they need some assistance with some women, that, just need someone to sit there and listen. I am willing to do it.
Right, right, right. I love it. That's beautiful. So you're going in to ministry full time
Full time.
this year,
Yes.
this year, and I hear you say, you'll be connecting with some mental counselors. That's what I do full time.
Oh, okay. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so biblical counseling, okay, and we see the difference between biblical counseling,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
and being a counselor or
Yeah.
therapist,
Mhm.
whether you're licensed or not.
Yeah.
What I want to hear from you. I know the ideas that I have and what I've seen. I want to hear from you. What is the difference between biblical counseling and traditional counseling and
Mhm.
therapy?
Biblical is more about spiritual, the spiritual relationship. We have to, when we do our biblical teachings, we do from the Bible. We do not do any type of medication. Um, we go in, we listen. Um, and I know with the mental counselors that I'm friends with, and I know they have a pattern. I know they have certain things they need to do. I'm working on them, their
Hmm.
soul. I'm
Hmm.
trying to help them with their soul.
Hmm.
Um, and you have to be open. You have to be open because they're in a spiritual fight. And I think a lot of times when you go to a regular counselor, they're not, able to cross some of those lines, you
Right.
know. And
Right.
so that's the difference for me because I want to be able to go in and talk about the Bible. I want
Hmm.
to be able to maybe show someone Christ who does not know Christ.
Hmm.
One of the ladies who came in when we were doing our teaching, and then it was a mock session section, and it was I was open because I work for the state, so I see all different lifestyles.
Right.
I see it, and in
Hmm.
her session, it it took some people back of what she said she went through,
Hmm.
um, and how she had, how do I say this? She lived a different lifestyle for 15 years.
Okay.
She lost her family because her family decided you can't live like the Bible says, you're out. Instead of taking
Hmm.
her in, trying to show her and love her. You love her. You may not
Right.
love what she's doing, but you love her. And this lady, I tell you, and it was true. We didn't know it was true. So for 15
Oh
years,
wow. So you were in a mock. You were in a mock
with a
session,
mock session, mock
basically
session.
training,
Yes, yes. But
but the
did not
situation
know.
scenario was true.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I love the fact that 15 years, I kept, that 15 just kept going in my mind because I'm so close with my family that I can't see me not allowing my daughter to come visit me, not allowing myself to hug my daughter, And when she got done telling us that after 15 years of living that lifestyle, and she came in touch with a lady through work. She
Hmm.
didn't know that she knew the lady was a Christian, but she didn't know her background. And she was a biblical counselor. Not only a biblical counselor, she had several other degrees. This lady could go in and teach you executive to the bottom.
Right.
And that lady walked her
Hmm.
through, took her to, not to a church, took her to her home. And they started having Bible sessions, because the girl wanted to know. She was like, "Why am I so wrong? What have I done? Why am I being hated? Why are my parents turning me away because of my lifestyle?" But she learned about the Bible. She learned about herself. She learned about why. She figured out why she was living that
Hmm.
lifestyle. It
Hmm.
finally came out why. But in that 15 years, I think she said it took everything from her. She was sleeping in her car. She
Hmm.
was working any kind of job. She didn't have any children,
Hmm.
but she ended up, after that 15 years, she ended up with this lady in the ministry. She ended up changing her lifestyle. She ended up reconstructing her family relationship.
Hmm.
And she ended up, now she's a minister and she travels. But for 15 years, that lifestyle. And there was people who didn't know it was true. We didn't know it, but there were people who judged her and said,
Right.
I don't believe you. 15 years of living that you can't change. It was the most touching moment. But I'm sitting here about in tears and other people are judging her. But at the end, it turned out, in our professor, she walked it from the beginning to the end.
Hmm.
And she said this was all about a spiritual warfare for her to get to her journey where God wanted her to get to. And so now she can reach those people to help bring them along. I love that. I'm sorry. It was just, that part was just great for me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where I was going with it. That the word spiritual warfare
Mhm.
what dropped in my spirit when I asked you the question about the difference between biblical counseling and traditional, counseling and therapy.
Yes.
Because secular counseling and therapy, you're not going to get into
Right.
scripture. You're not going to get into really the foundation of why
Mhm.
you're going through what you're
Why?
going through and piecing it together. Now, you'll talk to the counselor therapist
Mhm.
about um, your childhood,
Mhm.
things that happen in your childhood,
Yes.
and they will help you put the pieces together, of course, as to understanding why, that what you've gone through
Mhm.
is accounting for your behaviors today, and those
Yes.
habits and things that need to be changed, or why
Yes.
you have certain addictions that you do, you know.
Mhm.
So they'll help you put those pieces together,
Yes.
and also um, structure, a way for you to really overcome it, you
Yes.
know, and understand
Mhm.
how to walk through that journey. It's Yet it's different
Different.
coming from a secular counselor or therapist than it is coming from a biblical counselor, because a
Yes.
biblical counselor is of course going to speak on, okay, first off,
Mhm.
this anxiety,
Mhm.
depression,
Mhm. Yes.
even physical ailments
Good.
that oftentimes may even lead to depression if you
Definitely.
don't know God. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, any of these any of these issues, a lot of people do not understand. It's warfare. It's
It
spiritual
is.
warfare.
It is. It definitely is.
One of the best gifts I have ever received was from my mother. She's a reverend, and she brought me a spiritual warfare Bible
Mhm.
for
Yes, I
my
love
birthday
those. Mhm.
a couple of years ago, and I have been in that Bible because it gives you the perspective of there's good and there's evil, and
Yes,
this
it
is
is.
why this is going on with you,
Mhm.
even down to physical ailments like asthma. People say, oh,
Yes.
my kids have asthma, and of course they don't want to feel accountable at all for why their child has asthma. They don't really understand that, and
Yeah.
definitely don't want to feel that way.
Right.
However, spiritual attacks happen in gestation.
Definitely.
When you're carrying that life,
Sharing their life.
okay, first off, us individually, we are fruit, and
Mhm.
we carry a seed.
See?
And
That's
then,
it.
the mother is pregnant and carrying this child.
Yes.
Now that's a seed growing in the mother there.
Right.
And so the enemy, as well as God, of course, knows the plans for that child.
Right.
So
Well,
now there is
one
a
thing that
attack and attacks and the child is attacked through the mother.
through the mother, and you have to watch who you're attached to, who you're with. Um, I always tell people about the example of my husband and I. I knew I had sickle cell trait. My
Mm-hmm.
husband always said, "Oh no, I don't have it." He's never been sick. I was sick with the trait as a young kid. And so I always knew I don't want to have children with anyone, who has that because sickle cell runs in my family. Sickle's the actual disease. And
Mm-hmm.
so um, we did not have to take a blood test when we got married, which is one thing that they do check now, especially with minorities. And so when my son was born, and I knew he was crying a lot, and it's just weird, And the border health calls me. You need to get down here. Your son has sickle cell disease. Oh, no way. No way. And I always tell my daughter and my son this, that the receptionist and I had an argument because she was trying to tell me that there was no way my husband could be my son's father because he doesn't have sickle cell trait. Okay, I didn't have the word in me. I didn't have the word in me then. I wasn't where I wasn't, and it went where it shouldn't have gone, and I
Mhm.
ended up calling for the supervisor, and they came, and she calmed me down. By this time, my husband is like, something's wrong, and when they came to find out that my husband has what they call a sickle cell jumping trait. So it depends on what if that trait is there at the time of of the
Mhm.
intercourse there. And
Right.
so they tested him 4 times, and 3 times he was no, and once he was yes. And that's the reason why. So my son has sickle cell disease, but my daughter does not even have the trait. And so
Mhm.
then my
Mhm.
son just had twins. So we're grandma. I'm grandma now. I'm Nana.
All
He
right.
has a boy and a little girl,
Mhm.
and the boy has the trait, and the girl does not.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I always tell people you have to be careful who you're bonded with because you never know what's gonna pop off. And
Mhm.
one thing that I learned in my biblical counsel, you have to be careful of crossing lines. You cannot cross the line. I am a biblical counselor. I am not a mental therapist. I am not that. You have to be
Mhm.
careful on that. And that's one thing they kept teaching us. And then if I'm in touch with someone and I realize that they need more than the biblical and the part that I have, it's okay. It's okay for me to say, you know what? I think maybe you need to go and
Mhm.
see
Mhm.
someone else. I have
Right.
someone in this area. You have to be strong enough and get out of self to know
Yes.
when you
Yes.
need assistance and when you need to bring someone else in. I have no problem with that. I don't seek it. And when I go and I want to volunteer, I'm going in. Um, I have a place in mind. I'm going in to just sit. They want someone to go in there to have patience and
Mhm.
to just sit. We can read. It's a quiet room. If they want to talk, talk. But I'm not going in there trying to say, okay, we're going to put you on this plan. This is what you're going to do. You need to see me 3 times a week. That's not what I'm going in to do. And you have to know the difference. You have to know your
Yes.
lane.
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
to know your lane.
Right. Right. So you can
And I
stay
am
in
very comfortable with knowing my lane.
it. I hear that. I hear
So yeah,
that. I hear
yeah.
that. What's some of the toughest cases? Like, have you ever? Can you think of a time when you really did have to say, okay, I'm going to refer you to a therapist?
Yes, there was someone who came to me, and um it was deep, and it was, I would say, almost witchcraft. Um but she dealt in so many different areas. I don't know how she got there. And I told my husband about it. She really didn't want help. You got to realize that too. She did
Mhm.
not want help, but she
Mhm.
wanted to be a tie. She wanted to be tied to a certain group.
Hmm.
And it was that one I did. I had to call somebody else on that one, and it went somewhere else because I realized that she was a manipulator.
I I thought that's what I was hearing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I did. I ended up passing that one over because it wasn't right. It wasn't a right fit for me. It wasn't that I didn't want to help her, but she didn't want help, but she wanted to act like she wanted help. But she was going in some areas that was too far off. She needed a whole lot.
Mhm.
She probably
Mhm.
needed a facility that someone said. I didn't say the word, someone else did.
Right.
And I could not do that, but I did it in a nice way. You know what I'm saying? I did
Mhm.
it in a nice
Mhm.
way. Um, and when she stopped calling me, it was a relief because when she would call me, it just went a different way. So you have to know your lane. You have to know when to back off. And I did. That was the most craziest case. I can't even talk about it because it was that. It would
Yeah.
it could when someone can come in and you don't want stuff to fall on you. You want stuff to attach to you. You definitely have to be prayed up at every moment. But hers was way off, and that's the reason why I'm kind of leaving it like that because it was way off on some stuff that I couldn't get into. God didn't want me to, and I was okay with that.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
okay. I was
Yeah,
okay with it.
that wasn't meant to be
No.
placed on
Mm-mm.
you,
Mm-mm. No,
and
she needed way, way more than I could get. Even the other person that she went to, it didn't. You think it was a TV show, but it's not.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, you have to stay prayed up
You do. You do.
because so much will be put in front of you and, dropped in your lap.
Mm-hmm.
There could be definitely, I mean, just an entire demonic influence that is going on
Yes.
with the potential client,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that, you have to understand in your prayer as to whether or not you are supposed to help this person
Mm-hmm.
or if you are supposed to refer them out, because you don't want that to
No.
fall to sink into your spirit,
No.
you
And I
know.
don't want to hurt her either. I could have damaged her even more. Trying because what I had to give her, it just wasn't enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
And with my job, I didn't realize that I was going to use my ministerial skills, the counselor skills, because I'm a manager. And so I'm supposed to just manage my staff. But my staff is frontline. So I came in touch with a lot of people a lot of people have mental conditions. And
Mhm.
and they are. Our state school here closed. The governor had closed it. Yeah, our governor closed it years ago, and it left a lot of them displaced. And so a lot of
Mm.
them are on the streets. They're homeless. So you would have coming in and, they wouldn't know who they were, or they would be talking to the wall or
Mm.
threatening
Mhm.
you. I mean, I did. That was a daily thing.
Right.
And sometimes you just have to know you can't argue with them. Some of them you just like, okay, I understand. Okay, this is what we need to do and move on. If they're saying that they see something flying around your head, I mean, you just had to just like, okay, let's just move on.
Mhm.
Literally had people coming in talking to the wall. Lady was talking to her mom, through the floor. I mean, I experienced all that. And I know he allowed me to see all that for a reason. But the demonic spirits were just so, and I would come home sometimes just tell my husband I was drained. I was drained, and I don't think I I was prepared for it, but somewhere in that midst of my job, I took on too much. I took on too much trying to help everybody else, and I didn't help myself. But I know now. Pray up every single morning with your oil. Your job does not have to know that you're praying when you're walking through the break room. Your job does not have to know that you carry a little oil in your purse. Um, and that was some of the hardest things, I think. Sorry, I think I had lost you for a moment. I
There you
just wait,
go. Okay.
but we're still here though.
Yes, yes. And look, and you know why? Because look, listen to what we're talking about.
Yes, definitely. Don't want the word to go out, but
Mhm.
I do. I really enjoy what I do. Um, I really do enjoy what God has for me. Even though I'm retiring, do some medical things, and because God wants me in a different area, it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. I am my husband's helpmeet. I am now pushing him. He's pushing me, and we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to fight for the kingdom. I'm looking forward to some more traveling gigs this year.
Mhm.
Once I get all what I need, I want to
Yeah.
be able to. just help people, because there's a lot of things that I did not say today that I have been through. I grew up where I grew up, in the projects. People don't know what a real project is. Um,
Mm,
and
mhm.
so there's a lot of things that I do want to share, and it's just not all for women, but I do, for some reason, I'm attracted to a lot of women. They come to me, and I don't mind that. You
Right.
know, all women are not messy.
No,
Nope.
no, no, we're not.
No.
No, we are not. No, we're not. The outreach has extended so much. I'm so glad to hear that you're actually growing to the point of having to go into a new building, new
Yes.
location.
Yes. Yes.
That's a
We're looking
beautiful
forward
thing.
to it. It
Hmm.
is, and everyone's not on the same level. We have young, we have old, um, and it doesn't matter that we have some older women, and they treat me so well. I'm like, I can get my own drink. Oh, no, 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 you can't do it. Let me, and so, because I was that person,
Um,
that's who I was through church. I was a church nurse. Someone needed something. I can't cook, but what you need me to buy? What you need me to bring? I wasn't really the kids person, but if they needed me, but that's who I was. And I
hmm.
watched the first ladies, not because I didn't think I was going to be a first lady, but I was drawn to the first ladies in my church, both of my churches. And I learned by watching, listening, and traveling. We traveled all the time. So I knew, these
Hmm.
protocols that we have. But this year in our outreach, we're still going to do our pop-up prayer. Couple engagements my husband has to go to. I have a couple engagements that I'm going to be doing probably on teleconference, but I am looking to do more public speaking, speaking out. And actually, there are some Christian podcasts that I had to say no to.
Really?
Yes, I made the mistake and agreed, and then I something just told me to go back and look at some stuff on the page,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I had to kind of say, I'm so sorry, but I didn't say why. I just said I'm sorry, but I can't do it. But that, once again, you got to make sure that you research, make sure you know what you're doing, who you're going to be connected to.
Right.
Um, and I did make that mistake, but the other couple things that I am going to do, and it's not going to be all ministry, because some of my speaking that I'm going to have to do, God's telling me that I'm going to have to go into some other areas, because there's some places where I'm going to have to go in and tell my testimonies, woo, that may
Hmm.
not be in a Christian setting. And
Hmm.
so,
Hmm.
but I'm okay, because I got to be real in order
Mm.
to reach
Right.
them. They want to know the real, real. And so I'm okay with that. I'm healed to do that now, mentally to do that now.
You have to be relatable, and you have to
Yeah,
go where God sends you,
yeah.
so and we know that ministry does not always exist within the four walls of the church.
Right.
And
Mhm.
even beyond, there's different types of outreach, outreach in, like you said, we're giving out food, we're giving
Mhm.
out socks, we're giving out,
Mhm.
we're
Mhm.
doing coat drives, and
Mhm.
all of that. However, outreach is also, like you said, public speaking. And when you were talking, I said I see her speaking more.
Mhm.
Okay, I heard that when you were talking, you speaking
Yes.
more, and the setting does not make a difference because you're going to go in with the full armor of God anyhow.
Full armor. Full armor.
It's about saving souls,
Yes, it is.
So hey, you're going to you're going to speak, preach, and teach where He puts you, and He's going to cover you.
I agree. And it's
Hmm.
one thing that I would like for you to know is that it's not what we didn't come up with it. We did it at one of our previous churches that we went to, but OEM, that's what we shorten our name, OEM. We like to close down, and go to other churches and just go and have church.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about anything but just being with the other church, having service, meeting, and fellowship.
And
You
fellowship.
know,
Mm-hmm.
we got that from another church, and so we love doing that. If my husband feels we're in the middle of service and something happens and it cannot be on camera, he will say, "Shut it down," because everything cannot be on camera. Because some people cannot get their
Mm.
healing because it is that private and personal. And I love that my husband follows that, and that's what I
Yes.
follow, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
We are not traditional, we are different, not because we just doing crossing all our I's and T's, but God has set us for a different set of people, his people. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to know, I may not be able to reach somebody, but you can,
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
we just roll together. We try, we're not perfect, but we believe in giving God everything that we can give. We partied in the world, we cheered baseball games. We're going to enjoy ourselves in the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think so. I think so many people think that in giving their life to Christ that it just kind of shuts down
It does
your
not.
life, and that's nothing could be
Mm-mm.
further from the truth.
Nothing. We have fun. We enjoy ourselves. We're getting ready to have our, even though we've been in ministries, outreach started in 2020 and our
Mm-hmm.
ministry started in 2021. We wanted to wait to have the pastoral conference. And so we're going to do that May the 3rd. And it's going to be our first pastoral slash church banquet. And we have people coming in already from town. My husband is a chef. He just loves to cook, so he has the
Oh,
menu
he's the
planned.
cook.
Yes, he is the cook. He's the cook. I'm going to have to put my charger on my battery. I thought I had it charged up. It's going dead on me. But I do. I just want you to know that. So look forward to seeing us, watching us on Facebook. If you need me, let me know. If you need me to sit in, listen with other people, help, I got to do what God says, and
Right.
sometimes we don't know why, but we just have to follow Him and trust in what He has told us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited though about 2025. I'm leaving my professional world, but my professional job, but um, He's going to make sure that I'm okay physically in order to do His word, and
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited.
I hear it's all over you. It's all over you. I'm telling you, you're
Do I
glowing in
love
that.
it. I
Yeah.
do. People
Glowing.
don't know my story. You don't know all of it. You don't know what I've been through. But
Yeah.
I always come out because of God's grace and his mercy. And I do believe what he said. Every time I go through something and I have that testimony, it touches someone else and it helps their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
asking God to just give me strength.
Yes. 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 Doing kingdom work.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Okay.
And for those of you who are watching versus listening on the radio, you can see in the ticker that I've had this glorious conversation today with Miss Carla Payne. She can be reached on Instagram at Carla Payne 70. Also, Yelp, she is a notary, as
Yes.
well as you heard, an ordained minister and biblical counselor with Outstretched Evangelistic Ministries.
Yes. Yes. All to
Again, thank you
God.
for coming on.
Thank
And
you.
you have been listening and or watching the Tyese Show. We are on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Amazon Fire TV, and as well Saturdays at 11 a.m. WMEG Radio. Thank you so much and see us soon. God bless.
God bless you. Keep doing God's work.
That's right. Amen.